My name is Makado Sintumure Ramaburana. I wanted to be bigger than what God has called me for. I was closer to Nigerians. You know these Nigerians. When I was closer to them, and because I saw what they symbolized, it was success in ministry. They were driving big cars and they had this sense of authority. Their churches were big and some of them, they've got big titles. So I thought that by associating with them, it would also lift me up. They told me that for you to have what we have, we must take you to Nigeria. And I remember very well, before we traveled to Nigeria, they gave me certain soap and said, when you go to church, use this. It was a black soap inside a plastic. It was very smelly. And they said you should bath with it on Saturday, 12 o'clock. And the following morning, we had to go into this village. And when we went into that village, that is where I was introduced to what they call the Ifa. Now, the Ifa priest did some incantation, and he was able to predict certain things upon my life. And that is why I was convinced and said, this man, he's going to help me. Then from then they did the ritual. And that is where they took me into the boiling drum, where it was on fire, filled with water to the boiling point. As the steam was coming out, I saw the steam, I touched the steam. From then they took me and they put me inside that boiling drum. But suddenly when I touched the water, it was cold. Now, from then we went to the water spirit, where it was a river, where I had to take some cowries, some seashells that I had to speak to. The other one, I had to carry it wherever I go and put it on my shrine back at home. They gave me also the head of a pig that I had to bury inside the church. And we buried it. And guess what? Within a period of less than a month, we saw a lot of people coming into the church. Because they told me that when the pig starts to rot, the worms that are coming out of the pigs, it will be the number of people coming to church.
As a young Christian activist, I volunteered myself into the group that defend the church against the Muslim onslaught.
Most of us as youth, we went wild for vengeance, and we took a revenge on innocent Christians while living in our own communities.
I lost my hand in some of the activities of protecting the church.
This conflict led to me losing my spiritual teacher and two of my cousins.
It was a journalist who brought us together and said to us, gentlemen, you can keep Kaduna State together. I want you to talk. It was strange to see Christian and Muslim working together. I wouldn't have wanted to do anything with him other than to fight.
United States Institute of Peace give a seed grant for us to start the process of interventions in Yellow.
Pastor James Woye and Imam Ashafa founded the Interfaith Mediation Center to build Muslim-Christian collaborations for peace. They brought warring communities together to discuss their grievances in Yelwa Shandam and to chart a way forward.
After the mediation process was reached, agreement were reached, peaceful coexistence have continued. Today, 12 years after that interventions, Yelwa Shandam has remained calm and peaceful.
Finally tonight, mixing Christianity and Islam under one roof. Special correspondent friend Sam Lazaro reports from Lagos, Nigeria.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
This is one of hundreds of small churches in Lagos, but perhaps the only one that has on its lectern both Quran and Bible. The invocations come loudly from both. It's all the more unusual in a country often torn by religious conflict. But practitioners of so-called Chrislam, 1,500 on some Sundays, see no religious fault line. Shamsuddin Saka, he's called Prophet, says they are all children of Abraham. Saka was born Muslim, and it was after returning from a Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca that he was inspired, he says instructed by God, to launch his new ministry. He's done that most noticeably in this dusty Lagos neighborhood, bringing the faiths together in a blended liturgy. It begins each Sunday morning with Quranic prayers, in an open floor space that, like a mosque, has no pews. These then give way to prayer with the congregation seated in chairs. It gets intense, almost trance-like, similar to a Pentecostal Christian service, and climaxes with a sermon from Saka.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's be alone today.
On this day, he hit repeatedly on themes of prayerfulness and the commonality between Islam and Christianity. At the service, there are petitions for miracles of health and wealth, not unusual in some churches, but Saka insists it's compatible with Islam too. Even skeptics give Saka credit for setting an example with this worship community,